So how did you get started in the content creation business?
So I mean, with OnlyFans, I sort of started it in 2020, which I feel like is quite a common story. It was COVID, and I was on like 60K a year in a marketing job that I didn't really love. But I kind of thought, well, I'll just earn a little bit of extra side money to help me buy a house in the future. So started doing OnlyFans like on the down low, and then it was about 2 years in that my work found out about my OnlyFans, and then I got fired. So
Oh,
once I got fired, I was like, right, may as well do it full time, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And then since then, it's just sort of gone up and up and up, and now it's just skyrocketed.
okay. I think Bonnie Blue has quite a similar story. She was working in marketing as well before she got into it, wasn't she?
Yeah, I thought a similar industry. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and this is a bit of a personal question, but how much do you make a year?
It is around the $2.5 million mark.
That's Australian dollars.
That's American dollars.
Oh, even better. And would you be able to analyze how much your earnings went up since you did the 583 man stunt?
Yeah, they've tripled in the past week, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, you could be making 6 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to spend all the money on?
Well, I own 4 properties, so I've got mortgages on 3 of them, so I would like to pay off all the mortgages and then be mortgage free.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Would be nice.
And just in terms of the 583 men stunt, where did you get the men from? How did you
I put up an application. It was more like a registration, I suppose. And I just said, hey, I'm going to be in Gold Coast at this venue on this date. Apply here or register here. I put it up on my Instagram and my TikTok and just told everyone where to go for it. And yeah, they all just sort of rolled in from there. I had applicants from like all over the world, but I knew that a lot of them wouldn't be flying internationally just for the challenge.
Very, very good. I presume nobody was left unsatisfied, you might say.
No, yeah, that was my number one rule, is like I wasn't leaving until everyone that turned up had their chance.
Wow. And how much time did each competitor get? Maybe that's the wrong term for
it. Yeah, so it kind of varied per group, because the way I did it is I split it up into hour slots, and each group sort of got given a time slot. So depending on how many people that were designated that time slot showed up, kind of depended on the amount of time that they got, but it tended to be between 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay, right. And I'm sure that's more than enough for most men.
Yeah, there were plenty that got the job done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you say the majority?
I wouldn't say the majority. I'd say maybe like 20%.
Okay, right. I think we need to start doing better on those numbers. But were they all tested for STIs before they?
No, so it's just it would logistically be too hard to get that many people to go and get tested prior, and for them to bring their results on the day. So instead, we just use barrier protection condoms.
Okay, very good. And I presume you got tested afterwards as well.
Yes, I've been tested twice now.
And have both tests come back clean?
Yes, yeah.
Very good, very good. Mm-hmm. What's your history with Bonnie Blue? I know were you guys in Fiji together?
Yeah, so Bonnie used to live in Australia. That's where she started her OnlyFans career. Oh, and yeah. I think she started about 1.5 years ago, and everyone in the industry here sort of knows each other. So we got talking online, and then she sort of started getting bigger towards the start of last year, and then kind of, was snowballing. And then she invited me to do schoolies with her in November, and then she got deported or banned from Australia. So instead we went to Fiji together. And then we both got deported from Fiji. And then we just recently did spring break together in Cancun as well. So yeah, we're pretty close.
Okay, great. And who started doing the sex stunts first? Was it you or her? Like the mass sex?
I did challenges back in 2023. So I was doing like 300 guys in a year, 600 guys in a year. And then, she sort of started doing, she did the 1,000 guys in January or whatever of this year. So guys in a day, I guess Bonnie sort of did that. I was doing lower numbers, like 24 guys in a day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was more doing the years. And she just went, bam, I'm going to do the days.
She went for sprints, you went for marathons, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always said.
I presume you get on pretty well with her then. It's not like a rivalry.
No. I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of people think, like, oh, did one of them copy one of the other ones? It's like, no, we've actually, like, our careers have been pretty parallel, and our, we both have our businesses and our brands. And I think whilst our brands overlap in some ways, they're also quite different. And I think we just complement each other quite nicely. And I think she's a great girl.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure there's like cross-pollination between your audiences as well whenever you collab.
Yeah, for sure. They love it.
Cool. And do you think you'll try and beat Bonnie Blue's record of 1,057 men in a day?
I mean, it's not like an attempt that I'm trying to break. I think I do want to do another like challenge similar to what I did. And like, if 1,000 guys showed up, 1,000 guys showed up, and I would, pleasure them all. I wouldn't not do it just because Bonnie's got the record. But it's not something that I'm like aiming to beat her at or anything like that.
Okay, right. Sorry to bring this up again, but what was the shortest time that one of the lads did in the 583 men stunt?
There was a guy that it was like 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even think he'd had his actual go yet. So, because that was like just giving him head. And so he hung around because I told him I felt bad for him. So I told him to hang around, and then he could finally get a shot actually having sex with me. But it took him like about 3 hours to get it back up again for round 2. So he just sort of stood in the corner of the room getting it ready whilst he watched me for 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very accommodating of you. Fair play. I'm sure he was delighted.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I felt bad. I was like, he came all this way, I've got to let him have his shot.
Very good, very good. And could I just bring it back to the Fiji episode again? What happened that you got deported from there?
So Bonnie and I went over there because we were looking for schoolies to film with, and when we got there, we'd been promoting it somewhat online, and the Fijian government got wind of it, and basically they sent police to our accommodation to deport us. But by that point, we'd already left because we'd seen a news article. So we'd gotten to the airport, and I actually had flown out of there before even getting confronted by them. But apparently they were deporting us because we're planning to work in Fiji and we were on a tourist visa. But in the way that we saw it was like, okay, well, a YouTube vlogger goes overseas and they vlog their trip, but they don't edit it and post it till they get back from their trip. So we technically weren't earning money by, you know what I mean? Like we were filming over there, sure, but we weren't necessarily working because we weren't earning money off of it. So that's the way we saw it. But oh well.
Yeah, I'm sure that sounds like a legal grey area. I don't know where that would end up if you actually stayed. Mm-hmm. Were you in fear you might be jailed for a while, like waiting for it to be charged and all that?
Oh my God, Bonnie and I, we were like in the taxi on the way to the airport, we were like laughing, but also like, when you're just like so anxious that you're like giggling, but you're like, wait a second, are we going to prison? And then we'll write out our lawyer's number on our hand and stuff in case we're about to get our rights revoked, and like only had one phone call and stuff like that. Yeah, we were quite scared, but it was fun. Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been great publicity anyway, but
well, it was in the end. We only got to film like a couple of pieces of content, and it didn't matter because the amount of publicity we got from it made us so much money.
Okay. What is the schoolie stunt? Is this the barely legal type of thing, is it?
Yeah, they're fresh, like they're 18-year-olds that have just finished high school, and they do schoolies, which is like basically they're celebrating their graduation and that they're about to have the best
right.
school and whatnot.
Okay, so similar to the Cancun type of thing.
Yeah.
And just in terms of your future, I know you've got 4 different properties. You're obviously trying to build a business empire by the sounds of things. I was wondering, how long do you want to be this specific type of content creator for? And do you have any retirement plans?
I think I obviously want to do this for as long as possible. As long as people want to consume my content is for how long I'm going to do this for. I like doing it. I love my job. I probably wouldn't do anything else, to be honest. I think in the future, I'm not someone who would just comfortably retire because I can. Like if I'm like 35 and I'm comfortable, I'm not just going to retire because I like having purpose and a job. I think it'd be really cool to get into like helping other girls, you know, propel their careers on OnlyFans, because I've obviously done it. The proof's in the pudding. To be able to help other people get to the same sort of level of success that I've gotten to would be really cool. So that's sort of something I'm considering.
Okay, cool. You could be a type of mentor for the
Yeah.
upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any hobbies outside of your work? I know you seem to work a lot of hours a week. Do you know how many hours a week you typically work?
Well, I pretty much work, like I wake up at like 5. I probably sit down to start working at 6, and then honestly, like sometimes I finish work at like 8. So, and I honestly do that pretty much every day. So what's that, like 12 hours a day or something like that, 14 hours a day?
Wow.
But I do have hobbies. Like I can play the piano. I like going for walks, going to the gym when I have time. But yeah, my life's pretty busy. So unfortunately, not a lot of free time.
Okay, yeah. And how many men do you think you slept with in total? Do you keep a tally of that?
Yes, I've got a tally, but I like to say give or take 50 because there might have been a few that have gone missing in there. But at the moment, it's at 2,063.
Okay, right. Do you have a best one or a worst one?
You know, it's hard when you've got that many, to be honest with you. There's like a few that stand out in your mind that you do remember. But I couldn't tell you the absolute worst or the absolute best.
Okay, yeah. Does doing this type of work ever make you sad? I know when I'm working, sometimes I get sad and it gets a bit too much, but I wonder if that ever happens to you.
I get stressed. I feel like I'm a high achiever and a perfectionist. A lot of people think that's weird in my profession, but you know, I always want to like do better, be better, you know, market myself better. So I'm constantly putting pressure on myself. So I feel like often I'll get to a point where I'm like just really burnt out, but that's sort of just coming from me more than it is my job.
Okay, yeah, the pressure you're putting on yourself, and it's a very competitive market now, the OnlyFans, isn't that right?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder. I mean, there's so many girls that do it now. So you really have to like do something different to make yourself stand out from the crowd.
Okay, yeah. And I presume your partner supports you through all this. I know you had some very good words of encouragement before your 583-man stunt. I was wondering if you could maybe tell us a bit more about that relationship, the dynamic, and how it works, and anything
Yeah.
else.
Well, I think we've been friends for like best friends for like 10 years. So he's always been supportive of me and my career. And so when we made that transition from being friends to, you know, being in a relationship, it was sort of easier for him to do than maybe if it was a new guy that was coming along and had to accept that, because he knew me and he loved me and he understood how career driven I am and how much I enjoy my job. And he's not going to be the type of guy that's going to be like, it's either me or your career, or, you know, you can't do this. He's not going to tell me how to live my life. And that's, you know, why I love it.
Okay, yeah. And does he ever get jealous when you're embarking on these wild sex stunts or anything like that?
I think, you know, he's only human. I wouldn't say he gets like jealous of the guys necessarily, but it's more like like sometimes if he's having an insecure day or something and he knows that I'm going out and having sex with other guys, of course, you know, he might be like, oh, that sucks. But once we have a conversation and discuss it, and, you know, he always feels better and he's reminded, you know, that's work.
Yeah, and I'm sure he enjoys the profits of your work as well.
Yeah, we live a nice life.
Very good, very good. I was wondering if you could speak maybe how your family reacted to your career in OnlyFans.
Yeah, well, they didn't really find out in the best way possible. Like I told my friends, but my family, like my mum and dad particularly, I procrastinated telling them, so I didn't tell them. And then in 2022, my mum found out because she was scrolling on Facebook and saw a news article about how I'd been fired for doing OnlyFans. So she was obviously shocked, but she sort of came around within 2 weeks. She was mostly worried about like my safety and whatnot. And then my dad found out about 2 years ago when the Daily Mail rocked up at his door and like, we've heard your daughter's is that true? And he's like, who are you? Like, what? So yeah, that was a 6 a.m. phone call to me being like, what's going on? Why is the Daily Mail at my door? Blah, blah, blah. And I just said, you know, this is what I do, Dad. I am in the adult entertainment industry, blah, blah. And he was like, well, is it true that you're earning X amount of money per month? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, fair enough. I'd probably do it too.
Yeah, the bank balance always helps in these situations, I find.
Yeah.